sorry, I forgot to unmute myself. Okay, welcome to webinar, Monday webinar, June 23rd. And we are continuing to read and study the book written by Robert Kiyosaki, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. But before we do that, I would like to share some super short video with everybody. I just saw this video a few minutes before this webinar, and I think it's a priceless. I would like to share with everybody. So please confirm, what do you see on the screen?
Mona Lisa?
Mona Lisa, okay, excellent. Let's watch it. Mona Lisa from Paris. No doubt that you like the smile of Mona Lisa, and she deserves to smile again. Let's hear her join the drink, and we will smile too, no doubts in my mind. So, you know what to do to have a smile like a Mona Lisa. Just drink aloe vera gel, correct?
Yes.
All right, let's move on. Next step is not super short video done by Eric Worre, and I would like to share this video with you, and I will ask Zoya to translate from English to Russian. And let me share the screen. Eric Worre on the screen, correct, Zoya?
Yes.
Okay, let's move on. Go ahead.
Your upline is not your boss. And your upline is also not your excuse. Let me explain what I mean. When you get involved in our business, there's one benefit that sometimes shows up in our business is there is some form of upline support in order to be able to help you get started, in order to be able to give you a helping hand. It's not promised, but sometimes it happens. It's implied that there's this support system available, but one, let's say you have an upline that joined the day before you did. How much more do they know about the company than you do? Just because they happen to connect you to the company does not mean that they're qualified to lead you necessarily. Just because they connected you to the company does not mean that you need to listen to them blindly. Okay? People, there's a person with your parents. Use what you can get in the positive from your parents and discard the negative that you don't want to take forward.
Добрый вечер. Ваш спонсор — это не ваш начальник, и он также не является вашим оправданием. И позвольте мне объяснить, что я имею в виду. Когда вы приходите в наш бизнес, иногда бывает такая вещь, как поддержка спонсора, чтобы помочь вам начать бизнес, протянуть руку помощи. Но это не гарантированно. Иногда такое случается. Предполагается, что есть система поддержки. Но, например, если ваш спонсор присоединился к компании всего на 1 день раньше вас, сколько он знает больше, чем вы? То, что он просто подключил вас к компании, не означает, что он обязательно квалифицирован быть вашим лидером. Это не значит, что вы должны слепо его слушаться. Понятно? Вы можете изучить, что представляет собой ваш спонсор, найти качество, наставничество, лидерство, опыт и использовать то, что работает для вас. Вот что я вам скажу. Как и с родителями, берите от них все хорошее, а негатив оставьте.
from your parents. Isn't that good advice? Wouldn't you hope your kids do that with you? Use the positive that you bring them, discard the negative. Same thing's true with an upline. They're not your boss. And your downline is not your employee. You're there to provide suggestions, support, guidance, assistance, experience, advice, if asked for. So there's no this is not like the military. Like, oh, I can't go beyond my personal sponsor to go get some advice because I'm going against the chain of command. There is no chain of command here. There's a person who connected you to the company, and now everything in the company is a resource to you if you decide to use it.
Итак, я хочу вам сказать, что берите все хорошее, например, как от родителей. Берите от них все хорошее, а негатив оставьте. Разве это не хороший совет? Разве вы бы не хотели, чтобы ваши дети поступали, так же по отношению к вам? Взяли все хорошее, оставили плохое. То же самое и со спонсором. Он не ваш начальник. А, те, кого вы спонсировали, это не ваши сотрудники. Вы здесь не чтобы командовать, а чтобы предлагать помощь, поддержку, наставничество, советы. Есть только в том случае, если вас об этом просят. Это не армия. Нет такого, что я не могу обратиться за советом выше стоящим, чем мой спонсор, потому что нарушаю цепочку командования. Нет никакой иерархии. Есть человек, который вас подключил, а дальше вся компания в вашем распоряжении, если вы захотите ею воспользоваться. Поняли?
Okay? So that's on one side. They're not a boss, and your downline's not an employee. We're in the influence business. We're not in the power business. We're trying to influence the right behavior. We're not trying to muscle people in order to do what we want them to do. Now, on the other side, your upline should never be an excuse. And I blamed my upline for my lack of success for my first 3 years. I mean, they didn't give me enough help. Other people were getting support. Other people were getting help. Other people were helping with three-way calls or would do two-on-one meetings or have lunches with them. They were getting coached. They were getting mentored. They were really good friends, all of this stuff. I didn't really have that. So I was bitter about it because I was comparing my experience with others. Two things happened for me. One is I realized that if my upline was responsible for my success, then I couldn't succeed if they didn't help me. That's a bad outcome.
Так что еще раз повторяю, спонсор – это не начальник. И те, кого спонсируете, не подчиненные. Мы работаем в бизнесе влияния, а не власти. Мы хотим влиять на правильное поведение, а не давить, чтобы люди делали то, что мы хотим. Теперь с другой стороны. Спонсор никогда не должен быть оправданием. Я лично сам обвинял своего спонсора в своих неудачах первые 3 года. Мне казалось, что мне не оказывали помощь, что я был обижен. Не так все, как с другими. Кто-то получал поддержку, кого-то брали на встречи, с кем-то проводили звонки, обеды, давали наставничество, даже дружили с ними. А у меня этого ничего не было, и я злился. Я сравнивал свой опыт с опытом других. Потом случилось 2 вещи. Во-первых, я понял, если мой успех зависит от моего спонсора, и он не помогает, то я не смогу добиться успеха. Это совсем плохой сценарий. И если я не хочу такого исхода, значит, я должен сам стать своим спонсором.
So if I don't want that as an outcome, because what if they didn't help me? If I don't want that as an outcome, guess what I need to do? I need to be my own upline. I need to pretend like I'm personally enrolled to the company and everything else is a resource. So I learned to say goodbye to my upline. I said, thank you so much for thinking of me, connecting me to this company. I'm forever grateful. I really appreciate it. If you're available in the future as a resource and as a friend, that's fantastic. But if you're not, I'm never going to use you as an excuse for my lack of achievement. From this point forward, I got it. I'll take it. If you want to help, feel free. If you don't, no problem. I got it.
Итак, это плохой сценарий, когда ты завидуешь и думаешь, что тебе не помогают. И если такого исхода нет, значит, ты должен сам стать своим спонсором. И я должен представить, что лично сам подключился к компании, а все остальное просто ресурсы. И я мысленно попрощался со своим спонсором не как с другом, а как с оправданием. Я сказал спасибо, что подумал обо мне и подключил меня к компании. Я вечно буду благодарен. Если ты сможешь быть ресурсом или другом в будущем, это здорово. Если нет, я не буду использовать тебя как оправдание для своей неудачи. С этого момента я сам за себя отвечаю. Хочешь помощь? Пожалуйста. Не хочешь? Тоже нормально. Я справлюсь.
So that was a big day. The day that I said goodbye to my upline as an excuse, not as a friend, but as an excuse. Okay? Really a big deal. One thing that I found out in our business, which is very strange, and ask around the top earners, how much upline support did they get? And you know what you're going to find out? From most of them, not much. Not much. And you know why that is? If you have an upline that supports you like crazy, is there for you, moves in with you, helps you, does all the presentations for you, takes care of all your problems, makes life easy. If that's the case, then you don't have to become much. They'll take care of it. And if you don't become much over a long enough period of time, you won't earn much, no matter how much they help. But when you...
Если не... Значит, и это был важный день, когда я это понял. День, когда я сказал своему спонсору «прощай» как оправданию. Не как другу, а как оправданию. И я узнал еще кое-что странное, сделал такой вывод, что если вы спросите у топ-лидеров, которые достигли успеха, сколько они получили поддержки от спонсора, знаете, что вы услышите? Большинство скажет совсем немного. И почему? Знаете почему? Потому что если спонсор делает за вас все, живет с вами, помогает, учит, проводит встречи, решает ваши проблемы, все делает за вас, в этом случае вы совсем не развиваетесь. А если вы не растете, не развиваетесь, то и зарабатывать вы будете совсем мало, даже при всей его помощи. А если у вас нет такого супер спонсора, вы вынуждены становиться лучшей версией себя. И именно это приведет вас к тому будущему, о котором вы мечтаете.
You don't have an upline that's amazing, spectacular, guess what? You're forced to become a better version of yourself, which gives you the future that you're looking for in the first place. So if you don't have an upline to speak of, be grateful. If you do have an upline that's amazing, don't let them do too much.
Так что, если у вас нет спонсора, будьте этому благодарны, потому что у вас есть отличная возможность достичь успеха. Если есть классный спонсор, отлично, но не позволяйте им делать слишком много. Пусть будет другом, ресурсом, но не костылем, из-за которого вы ленитесь и не хотите, и не развиваетесь.
Be a friend, be a resource, but don't use them as a crutch so you stay lazy in the things that you need to develop. Your upline is not your boss. Your downline is not your employee. Your upline is not your excuse for lack of achievement or a reason for your success. Same thing with your downline. If you want to get better, if you want things to get better, you've got to get better. If you want things to improve, you need to improve. And sometimes a bad upline or a substandard upline will cause you to improve faster than an amazing one. Now, if you have an amazing one, hey, count them as a friend, count them as a resource, but don't you get lazy with all the support that they're giving you. Work to become independent, where it becomes a friendship, an occasional resource, but never an excuse. That's our lesson for today. I'll see you tomorrow.
Итак, спонсор – это не начальник, и кого вы спонсируете – это не ваши подчиненные. Спонсор не оправдание вашего провала и не причина успеха. То же касается и всех, кого вы спонсируете. Хотите изменений? Тогда сами становитесь лучше и меняйтесь. Хотите, чтобы дела пошли в гору? Работайте над собой. Иногда слабый спонсор заставляет вас развиваться быстрее, чем идеальный спонсор. Если у вас есть крутой спонсор, цените его как друга, как ресурс. Но не позволяйте себе лениться под его защитой. Становитесь независимыми. Пусть это будет дружба и редкая поддержка, но никогда не оправдание. Это и есть наш сегодняшний урок. Увидимся завтра.
Thanks a lot, Zoe, for excellent translation. Excellent. Thank you. Let's move on. Let me change the screen. Zoe, please confirm what do you see on the screen.
The text of the book.
Okay, let's move on. Thank you. And please confirm when sound is on.
Finally, I looked away once I had absorbed his message.
Thanks.
I knew he was right. I was blaming him, and I did ask to learn. I was fighting.
Do people call you intense? Are you super impatient about your goals? Are you completely unaware of what TV shows are
Well, it's a YouTube.
Rich Dad continued.
Advertisement.
Or if you're the kind of person who has no guts, you just give up every time life pushes you. If you're that kind of person, you'll live all your life playing it safe, doing the right things, saving yourself for some event that never happens. Then you die a boring old man. You'll have lots of friends who really like you because you were such a nice, hardworking guy. But the truth is that you let life push you into submission. Deep down, you were terrified of taking risks. You really wanted to win. But the fear of losing was greater than the excitement of winning. Deep inside, you and only you will know you didn't go for it. You chose to play it safe. Our eyes met again. You've been pushing me around? I asked. Some people might say that, smiled Rich Dad. I would say that I just gave you a taste of life. What taste of life? I asked, still angry, but now curious and ready to learn. You boys are the first people who have ever asked me to teach them how to make money. I have more than 150 employees, and not one of them has asked me what I know about money. They ask me for a job and a paycheck, but never to teach them about money. So most will spend the best years of their lives working for money, not really understanding what it is they are working for. I sat there listening intently. So when Mike told me you wanted to learn how to make money, I decided to design a course that mirrored real life. I could talk until I was blue in the face, but you wouldn't hear a thing. So I decided to let life push you around a bit so you could hear me. That's why I only paid you 10 cents. So what is the lesson I learned from working for only 10 cents an hour? I asked. That you're cheap and exploit your workers? Rich Dad rocked back and laughed heartily. Finally, he said, "You'd best change your point of view. Stop blaming me and thinking I'm the problem. If you think I'm the problem, then you have to change me. If you realize that you're the problem, then you can change yourself, learn something, and grow wiser. Most people want everyone else in the world to change but themselves. Let me tell you, it's easier to change yourself than everyone else." I don't understand, I said. Don't blame me for your problems, Rich Dad said, growing impatient. But you only pay me 10 cents. So what are you learning? Rich Dad asked, smiling. That you're cheap, I said with a sly grin. See, you think I'm the problem, said Rich Dad. But you are. Well, keep that attitude and you'll learn nothing. Keep the attitude that I'm the problem, and what choices do you have? Well, if you don't pay me more or show me more respect and teach me, I'll quit. Well put, Rich Dad said. And that's exactly what most people do. They quit and go looking for another job, a better opportunity and higher pay, actually thinking that this will solve the problem. In most cases, it won't. So what should I do? I asked. Just take this measly 10 cents an hour and smile? Rich Dad smiled. That's what the other people do. But that's all they do, waiting for a raise, thinking that more money will solve their problems. Most just accept it, and some take a second job working harder, but again accepting a small paycheck. I sat staring at the floor, beginning to understand the lesson Rich Dad was presenting. I could sense it was a taste of life. Finally, I looked up and asked, "So, what will solve the problem?" "This," he said, leaning forward in his chair and tapping me gently on the head. "This stuff between your ears." It was at that moment that Rich Dad shared the pivotal.
I hope everybody understand what he said just. The stuff between your ears, your brain. This conversation with this guy and Rich Dad is absolutely priceless. I highly recommend you to review it by reading the book or just watch the recording again. Let's move on. Priceless.
Point of view that separated him from his employees and my poor dad, and led him to eventually become one of the richest men in Hawaii, while my highly educated but poor dad struggled financially all his life. It was a singular point of view that made all the difference over a lifetime. Rich Dad explained this point of view over and over, which I call lesson number 1. The poor and the middle class work for money. The rich have money work for them. On that bright Saturday morning, I learned a completely different point of view from what I had been taught by my poor dad. At the age of 9, I understood that both dads wanted me to learn. Both dads encouraged me to study, but not the same things. My highly educated dad recommended that I do what he did. "Son, I want you to study hard, get good grades so you can find a safe, secure job with a big company, and make sure it has excellent benefits." My rich dad wanted me to learn how money works so I could make it work for me. These lessons I would learn through life with his guidance, not because of a classroom. My rich dad continued my first lesson. "I'm glad you got angry about working for 10 cents an hour. If you hadn't got angry and had simply accepted it, I would have to tell you that I could not teach you. You see, true learning takes energy, passion, and a burning desire. Anger is a big part of that formula, for passion is anger and love combined. When it comes to money, most people want to play it safe and feel secure, so passion does not direct them. Fear does.
U.S. homeowners are ditching solar panels for this. Powers entire home. Thousands of homeowners are living.
So, is that why they'll take jobs with low pay? I asked. Yes, said Rich Dad. Some people say I exploit people because I don't pay as much as the sugar plantation or the government. I say the people exploit themselves. It's their fear, not mine. But don't you feel you should pay them more? I asked. I don't have to. And besides, more money will not solve their problems. Just look at your dad. He makes a lot of money and he still can't pay his bills. Most people, given more money, only get into more debt. So that's why the 10 cents an hour, I said, smiling. It's a part of the lesson. That's right, smiled Rich Dad. You see, your dad went to school and got an excellent education so he could get a high-paying job. But he still has money problems because he never learned anything about money in school. On top of that, he believes in working for money. And you don't? I asked. No, not really, said Rich Dad. If you want to learn to work for money, then stay in school. That is a great place to learn to do that. But if you want to learn how to have money work for you, then I will teach you that. But only if you want to learn. Wouldn't everyone want to learn that? I asked. No, said Rich Dad. Simply because it's easier to learn to work for money, especially if fear is your primary emotion when the subject of money is discussed. I don't understand, I said with a frown. Don't worry about that for now. Just know that it's fear that keeps most people working at a job. The fear of not paying their bills, the fear of being fired, the fear of not having enough money, and the fear of starting over. That's the price of studying to learn a profession or trade, and then working for money. Most people become a slave to money and then get angry at their boss. Learning to have money work for you is a completely different course of study? I asked. Absolutely, Rich Dad answered. Absolutely. We sat in silence on that beautiful Hawaiian Saturday morning. My friends had just started their Little League baseball game, but for some reason I was now thankful I had decided to work for 10 cents an hour. I sensed that I was about to learn something my friends wouldn't learn in school. Ready to learn? Asked Rich Dad. Absolutely, I said with a grin. I have kept my promise. I've been teaching you from afar, my Rich Dad said. At 9 years old, you've gotten a taste of what it feels like to work for money. Just multiply your last month by 50 years and you will have an idea of what most people spend their life doing. I don't understand, I said. How did you feel waiting in line to see me once to get hired and once to ask for more money? Terrible, I said. If you choose to work for money, that is what life will be like, said Rich Dad. And how did you feel when Mrs. Martin dropped 3 dimes in your hand for 3 hours of work? I felt like it wasn't enough. It seemed like nothing. I was disappointed, I said. And that is how most employees feel when they look at their paychecks, especially after all the tax and other deductions are taken out. At least you got 100%. You mean most workers don't get paid everything? I asked with amazement. Heavens no, said Rich Dad. The government always takes its share first. How do they do that? I asked. Taxes, said Rich Dad. You're taxed when you earn. You're taxed when you spend. You're taxed when you save. You're taxed when you die. Why do people let the government do that to them? The rich don't, said Rich Dad with a smile. The poor and the middle class do. I'll bet you that I earn more than your dad, yet he pays more in taxes. How can that be? I asked. At my age, that made no sense to me. Why would someone let the government do that to them? Rich Dad rocked slowly and silently in his chair, just looking at me. Ready to learn? He asked. I nodded my head slowly.
This is SanDisk's newly launched high-speed portable hard drive for this year, featuring SanDisk chips. It offers 6 terabytes.
As I said, there is a lot to learn. Learning how to have money work for you is a lifetime study. Most people go to college for 4 years and their education ends. I already know that my study of money will continue over my lifetime, simply because the more I find out, I need to know. Most people never study the subject. They go to work, get their paycheck, balance their checkbooks, and that's it. Then they wonder why they have money problems. They think that more money will solve the problem and don't realize that it's their lack of financial education that is the problem. So my dad has tax problems because he doesn't understand money? I asked, confused. Look, said Rich Dad, taxes are just one small section on learning how to have money work for you. Today, I just wanted to find out if you still have the passion to learn about money. Most people don't. They want to go to school, learn a profession, have fun at their work, and earn lots of money. One day they wake up with big money problems, and then they can't stop working. That's the price of only knowing how to work for money instead of studying how to have money work for you. So, do you still have the passion to learn? Asked Rich Dad. I nodded my head. Good, said Rich Dad. Now get back to work. This time I will pay you nothing. What? I asked in amazement. You heard me. Nothing. You will work the same 3 hours every Saturday, but this time you will not be paid 10 cents per hour. You said you wanted to learn to not work for money, so I'm not going to pay you anything. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. I've already had this conversation with Mike, and he's already working, dusting and stacking canned goods for free. You'd better hurry and get back there. That's not fair, I shouted. You've got to pay something. You said you wanted to learn. If you don't learn this now, you'll grow up to be like the 2 women and the older man sitting in my living room, working for money and hoping I don't fire them. Or like your dad, earning lots of money only to be in debt up to his eyeballs, hoping more money will solve the problem. If that's what you want, I'll go back to our original deal of 10 cents an hour. Or you can do what most adults do, complain that there is not enough pay, quit, and go looking for another job. But what do? I asked. Rich Dad tapped me on the head. Use this, he said. If you use it well, you will soon thank me for giving you an opportunity, and you will grow into a rich man. I stood there, still not believing what a raw deal I was handed. I came to ask for a raise, and somehow I was instead working for nothing. Rich Dad tapped me on the head again and said, Use this. Now get out of here and get back to work. Lesson number 1. The rich don't work for money. I didn't tell my poor dad I wasn't being paid. He wouldn't have understood, and I didn't want to try to explain something I didn't understand myself. For 3 more weeks, Mike and I worked 3 hours every Saturday for nothing. The work didn't bother me, and the routine got easier, but it was the missed baseball games and not being able to afford to buy a few comic books that got to me. Rich Dad stopped by at noon on the 3rd week. We heard his truck pull up in the parking lot and sputter when the engine was turned off. He entered the store and greeted Mrs. Martin with a hug. After finding out how things were going in the store, he reached into the ice cream freezer, pulled out 2 bars, paid for them, and signaled to Mike and me. Let's go for a walk, boys. We crossed the street, dodging a few cars, and walked across a large grassy field where a few adults were playing softball. Sitting down at a lone picnic table, he handed Mike and me the treats. How's it going, boys? Okay, Mike said. I nodded in agreement. Learn anything yet? Rich Dad asked. Mike and I looked at each other, shrugged our shoulders, and shook our heads in unison. Avoiding one of life's biggest traps. Well, you boys had better start thinking. You're staring at one of life's biggest lessons. If you learn it, you'll enjoy a life of great freedom and security. If you don't, you'll wind up like Mrs. Martin and most of the people playing softball in this park. They work very hard for little money, clinging to the illusion of job security and looking forward to a 3-week vacation each year, and maybe a skimpy pension after 45 years of service. If that excites you, I'll give you a raise to 25 cents an hour. But these are good, hard-working people. Are you making fun of them? I demanded. A smile came over Rich Dad's face. Mrs. Martin is like a mother to me. I would never be that cruel. I may sound unkind because I'm doing my best to point something out to the two of you. I want to expand your point of view so you can see something most people never have the benefit of seeing because their vision is too narrow. Most people never see the trap they are in. Mike and I sat there, uncertain of his message. He sounded cruel, yet we could sense he was trying to drive home a point. With a smile, Rich Dad said, "Doesn't that 25 cents an hour sound good? Doesn't it make your heart beat a little faster?" I shook my head no, but it really did. 25 cents an hour would be big bucks to me. "Okay, I'll pay you $1 an hour," Rich Dad said with a sly grin. Now my heart started to race. My brain was screaming, "Take it! Take it!" I could not believe what I was hearing. Still, I said nothing.
There's one simple warm water hack that anyone can use to fight off nerve pain in just a few days. Did you know that neuropathy...
Okay, $2 an hour.
My little brain and heart nearly exploded. After all, it was 1956 and being paid $2 an hour would have made me the richest kid in the world. I couldn't imagine earning that kind of money. I wanted to say yes. I wanted the deal. I could picture a new bicycle, new baseball glove, and the adoration of my friends when I flashed some cash. On top of that, Jimmy and his rich friends could never call me poor again. But somehow my mouth stayed shut. The ice cream had melted and was running down my hand. Rich Dad was looking at two boys staring back at him. Eyes wide open and brains empty. He was testing us, and he knew there was a part of our emotions that wanted to take the deal. He understood that every person has a weak and needy part of their soul that can be bought, and he knew that every individual also had a part of their soul that was resilient and could never be bought. It was only a question of which one was stronger. Okay, $5 an hour. Suddenly I was silent. Something had changed. The offer was too big and ridiculous. Not many grown-ups in 1956 made more than that, but quickly my temptation disappeared, and calm set in. Slowly, I turned to my left to look at Mike. He looked back at me. The part of my soul that was weak and needy was silenced. The part of me that had no price took over. I knew Mike had gotten to that point too. People's lives are forever controlled by two emotions, fear and greed. Good, Rich Dad said softly. Most people have a price. And they have a price because of human emotions named fear and greed. First, the fear of being without money motivates us to work hard, and then once we get that paycheck, greed or desire starts us thinking about all the wonderful things money can buy. The pattern is then set. What pattern? I asked. The pattern of get up, go to work, pay bills, get up, go to work, pay bills. People's lives are forever controlled by two emotions, fear and greed. Offer them more money and they continue the cycle by increasing their spending. This is what I call the rat race. There is another way? Mike asked. Yes, said Rich Dad slowly. But only a few people find it. And what is that way? Mike asked. That's what I hope you boys will learn as you work and study with me. That is why I took away all forms of pay. Any hints? Mike asked. We're kind of tired of working hard, especially for nothing. Well, the first step is telling the truth, said Rich Dad. We haven't been lying, I said. I did not say you were lying. I said to tell the truth, Rich Dad retorted. The truth about what? I asked. How you feeling, Rich Dad said. You don't have to say it to anyone else. Just admit it to yourself. You mean the people in this park, the people who work for you, Mrs. Martin, they don't do that? I asked. I doubt it, said Rich Dad. Instead, they feel the fear of not having money. They don't confront it logically. They react emotionally instead of using their heads, Rich Dad said. Then, they get a few bucks in their hands and again, the emotions of joy, desire, and greed take over. And again they react, instead of think. So their emotions control their brain, Mike said. That's correct, said Rich Dad. Instead of admitting the truth about how they feel, they react to their feelings and fail to think. They feel the fear so they go to work, hoping that money will soothe the fear, but it doesn't. It continues to haunt them and they return to work. Hoping again that money will calm their fears, and again it doesn't. Fear keeps them in this trap of working, earning money, working, earning money, hoping the fear will go away. But every day they get up, and that old fear wakes up with them.
Let's stop here, and we will continue to read this book next Monday, hopefully, and all of us to have a chance to continue to read this book on their own. It's not a secret. YouTube channel right below the screen. Only if you would like to. It's entirely up to you. Now I have another video to share with you. I saw this video today on YouTube channel and it impressed me very, very much. Let me share with you. And if you have any question regarding book, do not hesitate to ask. Okay, let's see something else. Just give me a second, please. Zoya, please confirm what do you see on the screen?
A man in glasses.
Okay, let's watch this video from Ukraine Got Talent.
Вы Гоча.
Да, я Гоча.
Вы поете.
Да, я пою.
И вы поете так, что мы сейчас встанем? Я бы очень этого хотел. Потому что, знаете, певцов много, а хороших певцов... У нас хороших певцов мало.
Я попытаюсь спеть сердцем. Спасибо всем.
Так это ж кухер.
Heart over mind, yes, I'm my father's son. I live my life just like my father's done. If he told me one day that somebody held up in chains, would I believe it? No way. Made up my mind and never hold its way. But tell me why, every time I try to tell you it's goodbye, I can feel your leg go in my heart. I know I want you to say what I'm trying to say. Heart son, my father's son. I live my life just like my father's done. But tell me why, every time I try to tell you it's goodbye, I can feel that you're in right. I know I want you, and I'm trying to stay. Come over mine, yes I'm my father's son. Вообще мурашки. I live a life just like my father's son. If he talked to me one day, that somebody helping how to change. Way I believe it, the way made up my mother never for that way. I drove for mine, yes I'm my father's son. How over mine is my father's son. Спасибо.
Вот это, конечно, мурашки-мурашки.
Вы так оригинально сейчас выступили, я такого не видел. Еще бы 3 секунды, и вы бы разорвались. У вас, на вас во время припева находит какой-то шторм музыкально-мозговой. И я вначале побоялся, а потом я понял, что это круто. Это очень круто, это очень интересно. Спасибо.
Гоча, вы сказали, что будете петь сердцем, и вы нас не обманули. Это была песня сердца. Я тоже никогда не слышала такого исполнения. Поразительное, удивительное. И я очень хочу увидеть еще.
Спасибо огромное.
Гоч, я вам скажу больше. Вы подняли весь зал. Гоч, от меня железное «да».
Спасибо.
3 да, спасибо.
И вам огромное спасибо.
Okay, my friend and partners forever, our webinar is over today. Let me stop recording and we will continue our friendly conversation in a different mode.